Hi, do you love making cookies but hate the expensive cost of bakery cookies or the preservatives in those pre-made cookie doughs from the grocery store? Today I'm going to show you how to make homemade cookies that are good for your family and good on your wallet. Today I'm going to show you how to make delicious cookies that you can feed your family on a tight budget. As a busy wife on a little budget, I have to make sure that my family has treats that are not only good for them, but that are good on our family's bank account. Today I'm going to show you how to make my favorite and my husband's favorite chocolate chip cookies. With only a few simple ingredients, I'm going to show you how to make these wonderful chocolate chip cookies. We're going to start with our dry ingredients and our wet ingredients. Now you might be asking me, that sugar and brown sugar are not wet. But when you're baking, they are wet because they move very fluidly. Our first step is to mix together our dry ingredients, which are flour, baking soda, and salt. So I'm going to mix them together in this little bowl right here. That was easy. Now the next part, which is a little bit more difficult, is to mix our wet ingredients. I'm going to start with some butter, which I've softened in the microwave for maybe 30 seconds. Put the other one in here. And our sugar. And we've got 3/4 of a cup of white sugar, 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. And that'll be different depending on your recipe. This is a recipe that I got off the back of the bag, but I've tweaked a bit for my family and the different parts of cookies that they like. We like cookies that tend to be flatter and gooier. So we add less baking soda and just a pinch of baking powder in the end so that they make nice flat cookies. Other people prefer fluffy cookies, so you'd want to add more baking soda and no baking powder. So as you can see, I'm just mixing this up, and right now it's not mixing too well, so I'm going to get my heavy duty spoon over here. I'm going to keep mixing. And it's okay if you make a little bit of a mess because you can clean it up later. And as you can see, my butter is nice and soft, so it's mixing pretty well. You can use a hand blender for this. I prefer not to because I like the workout that it makes mixing them by hand. So now they're starting to come together really nice. I'm going to add in my 2 eggs and my vanilla. And then I'm just going to keep mixing. And this is a really easy way to make cookies for your family at home. And as you can see, I've only got 9 simple ingredients here, so I can control what goes into the cookies for my family. So I know that they're not getting any preservatives or anything bad for them. So I'm going to keep mixing the cookies. A couple more mixes. And see, it's come together. You don't want to overmix it because that will make your cookies too tough. Once you're at this stage where it's kind of loose and kind of wet, you've got your cookie base. And you're going to want to add your dry ingredients to your wet ingredients just a little bit at a time. If you add it too much, you're going to get some clumps in there. So you do about 1/3, and then 1/3, and then another 1/3. So I'm going to keep mixing. Make a little bit more messes. And this is a great project that you can include your whole family in. If you have kids, grandkids, brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, anybody of any age can help. Just make sure there's adult supervision when you use the oven. Add a little more flour and mix a little bit more. Now you might be asking me why I chose to do cookies. Well, I chose to do cookies because this is something that I make for my family on a weekly basis. Do I make them from scratch every time? No. But when I have this wonderful cookie base, I can put it in my freezer or my fridge, and then we can make cookies whenever we want. So not only does it save me time and money to make them from scratch now, it saves me time and money to make them from scratch later. I'm just going to add in the rest of the flour and keep mixing. And through the magic of movie making, it's all mixed. I thought I'd try to save some time there and mix it off camera. And now we're going to add in our chocolate chips. And I use 2 whole cups of chocolate chips because chocolate chip cookies are something my family really loves, and the more chocolate, the better. So I'm going to mix that in. and then we're going to go to pan them. Now that we are all done mixing our cookies, we're going to place them on our baking sheet so that we can cook them in the oven. I'm going to use the 2-spoon method where you put the cookie dough on 1 spoon and scoop it off with the other. You could use a dipper or an ice cream scoop, but I find that this is the easiest and it requires you to use the least amount of tools in your kitchen. I'm just going to place about 9 cookies, and then we're going to go stick it in the oven. And now it's time to put the cookies in the oven. I've already set the oven temperature to 375 degrees. So I'm going to place my cookies inside, shut the door, and set my timer for 9 to 11 minutes. I put 10. Now you may be wondering what we do with the rest of this yummy cookie dough. Are we going to eat it now? I don't think so. I'm going to put the rest in a storage container and store it in the fridge for later, so that later this week when my family wants cookies, all I have to do is pop and bake. And now it's time to take the cookies out of the oven. We open the door and pull the tray out, and then lift the cookies. And as you can see, they're nice and dark on top. Maybe a little overdone, but this is the way we like them. I'm going to set my cookies here to cool, and we'll enjoy them later. And now our cookies are done. And now we can enjoy them with a nice cold glass of milk. I'd like to thank you for letting me show you how to make delicious chocolate chip cookies from scratch at home, where you can save time and money.